Kitty Clash, also known as Morgan J. Today is the 8th day of eating, year 27, or April 8th, 2025, and some stuff's been going on Neopets. So I found out about this based off of a comment on Neopets' social media, where someone said, people are being banned over fighting back against transphobia, but the transphobes aren't, and everything is being swept under the rug. Canceled my premium I've had, and not buying anything else until this is addressed. So I ended up finding a new board about this whole situation under general Neopets discussion. I don't remember that being a board. Okay, I thought they got rid of general like many years ago. Did they bring it back at some point? Either way, the topic is, I think, Doggo Fox emoji. Curious as to what's going on. Here's what's happening. Created 8th of April 2025 at 11:03 a.m. Neopian time. New thread since my old one got taken over by people who believe in harassing other users, and TNT has taken no action. I am not inciting anyone to do anything, speak off-site, harass Neo on social media, delete premium, whatever. Any actions anyone takes are purely their own and have nothing to do with me. Here's the news. Chaos. Users have expressed joy at being trans and have been met with troll threads about celebrating cis people. They've also been faced with harassment at the hands of many other users. This week, it came to a boil as TNT deleted multiple threads around the topic. People asking for clarity on moderation were silenced or permabanned. TNT has been unclear in their communication and moderation. Oh, they have the U has a little symbol under it. Okay, in case you don't know, Neopets has an issue with, I think it's like the Scunthorpe problem or whatever, where they'll like completely block perfectly like words that should be fine. This is always an issue if you ever have to look up like jar of eyeballs for a fairy quest, because certain words are just certain letters within bigger words are just blocked, and it blocks bigger words. So if you see like weird spellings of things like grapes or eyeballs, like that's why. TNT has been unclear in their communication and moderation. People speaking up about the issues have found themselves targeted and permabanned by TNT. So permaban probably means frozen, which means like you lose your entire account and everything on it, including like Neocash stuff that you bought with real money. Multiple people have been getting warned, having had all their threads deleted, etc. At one point over the weekend, TNT suggested people submit a ticket, but then also suggested to use the report button, further adding to the general confusion. Who runs the mod team? Why are they applying policies so incredibly haphazardly? We may never know. Neopets has a history of like moderation controversies, by the way. One key to note is that TNT has told users and tickets that they do not have time to actually go after people who are harassing trans people in threads. That's awful. Some have been told the word transphobic is not allowed on the boards at all. The shadow rules are confusing and inappropriate. I mean, Neopets has historically like banned anything to do with politics, anything to do with religion, like anything to do with romantic relationships at all, including like heterosexual ones. So that is not surprising to me that they ban words like that, because Neopets has a history of being like really super overzealous and stuff when it comes to moderation. So I can believe that from TNT. Let's be real, I can believe that from TNT. Some users have deleted premium in protest of the haphazard moderation and not clear policies. I applaud that. As someone who grew up playing Neopets, it's like, I understand that boycotts can work. I think it's wonderful that people are putting their money where their mouth is and like not giving further purchases to a company that isn't supporting them. TNT has suggested that by calling out harassment, those people actually become the harassers. Okay, that actually sounds like a policy that's been on the books for a while. Yeah, like I think that like, I can't quote the old editorial like off the top of my head, but I think there used to be a rule that it's like, if someone's being mean, you're supposed to report them and not tell them that you're reporting them. So I think that's something that's actually just been part of how Neopets handles things since forever. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's part of the course for Neopets. On Sunday, GenDisc had its name changed. Okay, I don't think they even had a general board. I thought they got rid of that like before I joined the site. When did they add that? It is now known as General Neopets Discussion. TNT then began aggressively moderating anything not explicitly about Neopets. Yeah, that sounds like how TNT would handle situations. Not well, but that sounds like TNT. Why is this a problem? Some users have cried. Neopets is a game, sure, but the world is a very scary place for our trans and queer friends, and the least we can give them is a space to feel joy and express that joy without fear of being targeted and harassed. We are unsure, and TNT is unclear. Okay, yeah, I think something in unclear must be blocked. Oh, uncle, it has the word uncle in it. I do not know why, but uncle is banned on the Neoboards. It has been for as long as I played the site. If I don't know what's even why uncle is banned. Like I don't know the story behind that, and I'd like to know the story because that's such a random word to ban. Okay, so NTNT is unclear if they actually support the trans community or if it's all corporate rainbow washing, and that's a very valid allegation. Like they have all this like pride merch on the site, like little rainbow wearables you can buy for your pets. And what's the word? For some reason, I was thinking they had like rainbow paintbrush pins that they were selling one year for Pride, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But the thing is, like, they've signaled to the player base that like they're more like accepting of the LGBTQIA plus community than they used to be. Like they were making steps towards that. And so if they're suddenly backtracking, that's going to make people reconsider if they want to buy Neopets merch, if they want to continue supporting the site. And I really don't like the whole, like, what's the word I'm looking for? There's like a specific word for this. I think it's called like rainbow capitalism or something, where a corporation will sometimes like put a bunch of rainbows like on their logos or whatever and be like, we support the LGBTQIA plus community, but then not really do anything beyond that, like where it feels like a marketing scheme. And so I think now more than ever, it's important for corporations to really stand behind what they're saying. If they actually believe in being inclusive towards the LGBTQIA plus community, they should actually do that. They shouldn't do like one-sided moderation stuff that makes the site less welcoming towards trans folks. Like, I'm not trans, I'm bisexual, but I still think it's important to stand up for other members of the community, especially at this time. That brings us to today. Multiple anti-trans hate threads have been allowed to stay up for over 6 hours. Oh my god, that's still, okay, one time many years ago, there was an issue where the Neoboards, like, moderation completely went down for, like, a weekend, and so there were, like, people literally putting up, like, sex toys on their pet pages. Like, they had an entire issue with the moderation going down for, like, a weekend one year. Yeah. So that brings us to today. Multiple anti-trans hate threads have been allowed to stay up for over 6 hours, even in the face of so many reports. Even more chaos, folks. What is acceptable now? No one has any idea. It's not been discussed. The mods have said nothing with any sort of clarity. What we do know is that they're saying a lot without saying it by leaving up the hate boards. Yeah, I mean, if they can't hire enough moderation, maybe they could just, like, turn off the boards temporarily until they can get more workers or something. I don't know. I understand that if they're short-staffed, they might not be able to keep up with everything that is being posted. But maybe they should consider, I don't know, hiring more moderators. Here is an editorial link to TNT allowing us to express our identities. Okay, let me quickly open that up real quick. Okay. Hello, hey Neopians, okay, so this is issue 923. Hey Neopians, we'd like to begin by saying the safety of our users' information is a top priority for us. As some of you may be aware, this weekend, so this was back in, year 22, was that, Neopets is 2 years ahead, so this would have been back in 2020, I think December 18th of 2020. As some of you may be aware, back in 2020, our team was notified of a claim about potential ways for outsiders to gain access to user information or data on Neopets. Wow, that's an interesting, Okay. And for a second special announcement, Hey Neopians, we wanted to give you a heads up about some changes coming soon to the filters on the Neoboards. As many of you are aware, certain discussions that extend to real-life topics are not permitted on the boards in order to ensure the safety and privacy of our users. However, Neopets should always be a safe place to express yourself, regardless of your identity or orientation, and many of the filters we had in place in the past did not allow for that expression. Above all else, it's important to us on TNT that Neopia and the Neoboards are a safe and welcoming place for everyone, including Neopians in the LGBTQIA+ community. We've realized that some of the filters or restrictions placed on the Neoboards did not always account for that, so we'll be making changes to filters surrounding LGBTQIA+ filters and topics on the Neoboards. It's always been a priority for TNT to support our user base in expressing themselves openly and safely. No, that has not always been a priority. How do they have the goal to say that? Like, that's outrageous. Like, some of the things people have gotten warnings for over the years, like, no, that TNT has not been committed to that historically. And we are excited to roll out these long overdue changes. Yeah, long overdue changes. In doing so, we'd like to be very clear about what we can and cannot allow to keep Neopia safe, supportive, and inclusive for all our users. Please look over our new rules below, which will be added to the chat rules page as well. Okay, so they're just one of the things that's always been annoying about Neopets is they'll put like rules changes in the editorial. And so you have to basically memorize like all the editorial questions and read it every week to actually know what is or isn't allowed on the site. Side accounts are worse even about this. Like the amount of lore around side accounts is infuriating. Do not post about anyone else's sexual orientation or gender identity. This includes outing someone, pushing an identity or belief onto someone else, or recruiting others to join an off-site group or organization. They've always been very strict about like not letting people off-site, or try and lead people off-site. That's an issue. Neopets has a wide user base with many different personal beliefs and opinions. The Neoboards can be a place to express those beliefs, but do not discuss or debate them. In the event of an argument, we'll have to flag all users involved. See, this is the issue. Like, this is Neopets has always had this sort of horrible moderation policy of like, we will have to flag all users involved, even if you believe you are in the right. So yeah, this actually, okay, the way that Neopets is behaving right now is absolutely on par the course for how Neopets has said they'll behave. Even if you believe you're in the right, if you were being harassed or discriminated against for your identity by another user on the boards, we ask that you not interact with them and report the issue to a moderator who will handle the situation. So actually, Neopets has been handling this exactly like they said they would, which is not good, but... As a reminder, aligning yourself with a hate group is not an acceptable form of personal expression. Anyone who labels themselves as such or expresses hateful beliefs will be frozen. What will or won't get you frozen is always like wild. It's like rolling the dice on Neopets. Coming out is absolutely fine. You'll have a warm and accepting family of Neopians to welcome you. I'm just laughing there, being like, some of the stuff they let through on the boards, I don't think that's necessarily true. But please do not attempt to out someone else. You are free to use terminology such as gay, straight, bi, queer, cisgender, trans, questioning, lesbian, and others to describe yourself. They used to like ban people from mentioning having a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It's good that they're making changes and no longer like apparently doing that, but like this is hilarious coming from Neopets. All we ask is that you use these terms in a positive way and not about another person. As with any form of harassment, we will not permit anyone to use these terms in an insulting way. If this does occur, the user in question will risk being warned and or silenced. Relationship discussions are not permitted. Okay, so you are allowed to say straight, bi, queer, cisgender, trans, questioning, and lesbian, but you're not allowed to say you have a significant other. That's a Neopets for you. This is freaking Neopets for you. Relationship discussions are not permitted. Casually mentioning my partner and I went out to see a film is not a problem at all. Okay, so that's not a problem anymore. Going into even borderline/graphic sexual discussions is not allowed. Pride flag colors and your signatures are perfectly fine. We're looking forward to having more inclusive experience for everyone on the site. The moderation team has 21 years' worth of filtered terms to sift through. So you can expect to see most LGBTQI... Yeah, they still haven't unbanned the word uncle. So you can expect to see most LGBTQIA plus related filters lifted throughout the next few days. After that point, if you come across an LGBTQIA plus related term that you believe should be included, please submit an abuse report and the teams will look into it. We'll see you on the Neoboards, TNT. So yeah, that's from like 2020 in an editorial. And that's like, essentially, that tells you just how rubbish the way that TNT communicates is. Where it's like, we have to have people on the boards linking to old editorials for people to understand what the rules currently even are. Oh my, okay. Here's the link to TNT's inclusivity statement. Okay, I guess I'll go to that one next. Okay. Our team, blah, 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 blah. Our values, community-centric design, craftsmanship and standards, adaptability and flexibility, inclusivity and acceptance. Neopets has always been a game for everyone. They say that. The Neopets experience is fundamentally about entering a safe space in which all are accepted, regardless of who they are. And Neopets, you are a Neopian, plain and simple. Anything less than the equitable treatment of all Neopians is not acceptable by our standards. Queen Fiora just wouldn't allow it anyway. Also, I want to go off on a tangent here and say, like, Queen Fiora is a tyrant. Neopets should be ruled by Neopets. Exandra should have won. Like, I'm just saying, I'm Team Exandra, and I do not like Fiora. Like, I'm team Exandra. I want to once again simp for Exandra. Okay. And then someone said, there are several threads mocking trans and queer users, and it has been going on for hours. Meanwhile, TNT has been silencing trans and queer users for pointing this out. And someone else says, thank you, Plant Shop, for the additional context. As a housekeeping note, usernames redacted are not welcome to post on this board as they were involved in harassment on the other thread. They shouldn't be calling people. Okay, they should not be calling people out because that's gonna get this. You know how TNT moderates. That's gonna get that like taken down just based on like. Let me go pull up that old editorial thread again. What was it saying? In the event of an argument, we will have to flag all users involved. Yeah. Even if you believe you're in the right, if you're being harassed or discriminated against for your identity by another user on the board, we ask that you not interact with them. So, like, I understand where this person is coming from of wanting to be, like, calling out and being like, hey, I want to warn other people. But, like, that's just gonna get the board taken down. Like, and then someone says, I would really implore everyone to ignore posts from the aforementioned trolls to keep yourself sane and account safe. Do not engage. And then additionally, okay. So one person's like, additionally, housekeeping notes. I'm also giving away free Pride items. How does Neopets actually stand on giveaways anymore? Because I have heard so many like versions of what is or isn't allowed over the years. Like, I don't know on giveaways. Ask the editorial. One of them says, I'm leaving for the day soon, but I restocked a ton of Pride items if that could help. Oh, that's so sweet. I like when Neopians help each other out. And one final housekeeping note, if you want to support this thread, please leave a comment to keep it bumped. If you want to support me for some reason, send me your Pride items so I can give them out to people or give them out yourself. Spread joy and pride, my friends. And someone says, reminder not to feed the trolls, ignore them, pretend they do not exist, just screenshot their posts and compile them. After you take screenshots, be sure to hit that report the message button on anyone doing any harassing. Maybe something will happen. Who knows? TNT's moderation is as black as the void that is sucking all of Neopia into it. Please don't bring the void within out of hiatus. That plot sucks. In the nicest possible way is just doing like the daily quest log, but like on overdrive. Like, it's just boring. It's repetitive and I don't like it anymore. And then someone says, how can you help? Links to some pet page. I know it's hard to ignore the trolls, but at this point we have to in order to protect our accounts. Um, If TNT doubles down on this instead of attempting to mitigate damage, and complaints of anti-LGBTQ ideals, LGBTQ ideals start to seep across their socials, advertisers may reconsider whether they want to be affiliated with Neo. And I want to say, the player base themselves are already, there are so many instances of people being like, I've canceled my premium, or I'm no longer buying Neocash, and I don't have premium or Neocash anymore. I think basically Pet Pet Park closing down all those years ago is kind of what made me not want to buy Neocash, because I had so many items on there that just disappeared into the void forever. So I don't buy Neocash or Premium anymore. I do sometimes get physical merch, like the Monopoly game. But I can tell you, I'm not going to be pre-ordering any more games if they're going to be mean to trans people. Money always talks, though, and the non-allies are few and far between here comparatively. Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like Neopets is very, it feels like the core audience of that is going to be mostly millennials. I'm one of the older side of Gen Z, and I think I'm one of the babies on Neopets comparatively. So I'd say most of Neopets is a bunch of chronically online millennials. So, and I would say that fraction of people probably, that faction of people probably would prefer to give their money to sites that are inclusive, you know? So if a bunch of the player base who are buying premium all cancel because of this, then that's going to hurt TNT, and that's hopefully will encourage them to change their actions. So if Neo has any financial sense, they won't want masses of people quitting / canceling premium. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind, is that a lot of the people who are buying premium probably are LGBTQIA+, or have friends and family who are. And so, yeah, I really wanted to raise awareness of this issue, because it's really important for Neopets to be a safe and inclusive space for everyone. And I want to talk about that. And I really want to encourage people to be conscientious about who they're giving their money to, especially at this time. It's important to, how do I put this? It's important for companies to stand up for what they're saying they believe in, and support the communities that they say they support. I hope that this video inspires you and that you have a great day. Happy Neopetsing! Bye! Oh, and remember to train your battle, don't pet.